So we'll get our 501c3, we'll be a legitimate church, and then as I build my Gothi training, we can actually legitimately ordain.
In days of yore, youth was born, sturdy strength of the stock of gods. At the edge of the earth, Ed mates 9 gave birth and suckle to the brightest of the gods.
This bloat has ended. Thank you all.
Group hug! Welcome to the Northwoods Kindred Podcast. I'm Skogul, Gydia of the Northwoods Kindred.
And I forgot my name. I'm Bodvarr, the chieftain and Gothi of the Northwoods Kindred. You can keep that in. I'll give you that. That'll be a nice little tip.
All right, thanks.
It humanizes me.
Is that what it does?
No, it's a bullshit. I just had a lot of beer. Well, this is actually part 2. We've actually been out here for nearing 2 hours talking about all this kind of stuff. So this is part 2, and we're just doing a re-intro for it. So, hey, this is going to be a really good one. I can say that for a matter of fact because I just lived it.
You're right. You just did.
I just lived it. All right. We'll get our 501c3. We'll be a legitimate church. And then as I build my Gothi training, we can actually legitimately ordain. So, and the beauty of that is that no longer will these DRGLs, designated religious group leaders for the military, have to go through some third party to figure out how to do their job. We can mentor them because we have military DRGLs already in our system. And so we can bring people, master sergeants and stuff that are already doing it for the Air Force and the Army, and they can say, this is what you have to do to get it recognized. This is how you move forward. People that are very intimate with the DRGL process, not just like random heathen organization with ordainment authority. You know, oh, you can be ordained and then you can be on your own, and we can't help you because we have no idea what the intricacies are to that. But we'll have different because we have actual military personnel, including myself, who is not unfamiliar wholly with the military system. Right.
I want to remark on, we've been at this about two years and 5 months.
2.5 years, really.
Yeah, 2 years and 5 months online in our online outreach, and we are almost at 10,000 subscribers
Almost
on
at
YouTube.
10, yeah.
I mean, it's a
But
long
some of our
time.
not competitors, but some of our contemporaries in this space, the higher end ones, inside of 2 years, were pushing 50,000.
Yes.
But they caught the beginning of the Viking series.
Well,
They caught they got the wind in their sails because of that trend. So
that, and I also believe COVID. I think they started when COVID hit and everybody was locked down.
lockdown. Oh, that's a good plan. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't consider that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you remember, about 2 years before we started this whole thing, we talked about potentially starting this channel online,
Mm-hmm.
and we did.
And then your dad died, and then my mom died,
There's-
and then
yeah, there's-
COVID killed them both. By the way.
Yeah,
Caw-caw.
yeah. They were both vaccinated.
Yeah.
Caw-caw.
so
Caw-caw.
yeah, so that whole mess, that whole disruption in our lives.
But yeah, we're at like 9,880 something.
Yeah, man. So if you're sharing it, like this video could be the one that puts us over 10K.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
We're real close. We're real close to that 10K mark. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really push our numbers much, but it's a cool milestone.
It is a big milestone. I think it's a really, really big milestone.
10K, yeah. I gave away a handmade custom knife on 10K on our other channel.
Yeah, I remember. I remember.
Not doing that again. That was way too much work for way too little. To transition away from that, though, giveaways, like that's something that right now we give away those flyers.
Yes.
That's likely going to have to change. They have doubled the cost of hosting a website to give that away.
Yes.
Doubled. Well, actually, it's more than doubled.
Yeah,
It's double
a
and
little
some
bit more
change,
than double. Yeah.
So they doubled in some change the cost of me hosting a website where I can give stuff away.
Yeah, and the other.
But I can give it away on Patreon to my lowest tier, right?
Yes, you can actually give it away to any free members on Patreon.
Oh, I can't?
So
once they're a $3 member, they can get all the downloads for free, but then they get all the other perks too.
Yes.
Which isn't a lot. Yeah, a recipe. They get a recipe?
They get a recipe, they get a gathering report, and they get the 10% off any product.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
For $3.
For $3.
Yeah. So we have these flyers we do. This is the Gods and Goddesses of Asatru. And it's got, it's just a 3-fold flyer, and it's got a little QR code that takes you back to our website. Or it takes you back to our YouTube site.
I think our link tree, actually.
Well, it says visit us on YouTube, and then there's a flyer. So this might be an older one.
Let me try that.
Yeah, try it. I'm pretty sure that's a YouTube thing.
No, I think you're right.
It just takes you to the videos. Because if initially we didn't have a link tree when we first started doing these.
Yes.
Actually, truth of the matter is, when I first started making these, I made these original ones for, all thing like 16 or something. Was it that far back?
I don't think it was.
23.
I was going to say
23.
it's like 23, 24.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever one we held in, for the Asatru Alliance, held an all thing in Meeman Shelby State Park in Tennessee. And we made these flyers to give away there. And then I've recently updated them, not recently, inside of 2 years ago, updated them and then put them out for free for downloading. And then I have some other paid downloads too. But so we have frequently asked questions. We have the 9 Worlds of Asatru.
That's going to be the...
this is a new one, right?
Yeah.
So I got to update that.
Yeah, this is the one that we are we're going to try to do a video on Friday. Remember we put it in our planner?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got Gods and Goddesses of Asatru, frequently asked questions, bloat. Mm-hmm. So this is actually a handout that is a step-by-step instruction for bloat. Not only the tools that you need, but a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 step for conducting a small personal or a small group bloat right here. Is this one free? Or is this one a buck?
No, that one is free.
Yeah. So
I mean, if you go to our website, it'll show it's $1.50, and then when you go to checkout, you will get it for free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For now, but that's going to go away really soon. So, it's going to have to, and because it's breaking the bank. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we can't give things away. Like there's no system set up in place to just give stuff away for free on the internet. Mm-mm. There's no system for it, unless you have enough disposable income to offset it, which we don't. Right?
Not yet.
So we're working on that. So that's why we're going to build our 501c3. That's why we're going to do all these things, and we're going to get everything going. And then hopefully we can, with the 501c3, we can bring in funding from the outside that can help support our outreach and giving stuff away, right? Mm-hmm. As well as the Gothi School, or Learn As You Gothi.
Learn As You Gothi, yes. Which Patreon is, it is because of Patreon that we are able to begin this 501c3 process.
Right, yeah, because we've had Patreon for 2 years and we've never cashed it in. It's only $369, so there's not a lot of money there, but there's enough to at least cover our initial meeting with the lawyer and possibly our state fees, our filing fees for our 501c3. So there's enough there for that. So we don't have to do a GoFundMe and beg for money like other people do. We don't have to do that. We earned the money as it's in there.
Well, you say that like it's bad, but
no, it's not bad. I'm just saying. Don't.
Okay, because I'm saying.
Did it come across as bad?
It kind of came across as a little bad, and I'm just letting you know.
I'm not being bad or judgy. No, not at all.
Because we're totally going to do that.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, I'm not being judgy about it at all. I'm just saying we don't have to do a GoFundMe in order to get this lawyer thing done because we set this other system up first.
Yeah.
And it's just enough to cover that.
Yeah.
But anything moving forward, we might have to. This is a weird podcast. We just keep talking about money. That's very weird.
Well, I was going to say like the whole GoFundMe thing, that's going to be stuff where we can do GoFundMe for sponsorships and supporting other...
that would be nice to do a GoFundMe to support the Gothi of the of the Midwest Kindred
Yes.
who wants to come through and get because one of the ideas was, should I talk about the altered states of consciousness or?
I mean, I think you can generically.
So one of the generic things, I don't know if I can get generic.
Well, the thing is, the more you say, the greater chance you have that being taken from you.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of people that has the experience that I have that can put this together.
True.
I would really hate for someone to take this idea without the proper experience and actually get somebody hurt.
Yes.
That would be my biggest concern.
But you know as well as I do that people like to take things from you. I mean, even the whole mind Gothi. Yes. I mean, like that has even been taken from you.
Yeah.
And
well, so I'll try to keep it as generic as possible, but there are ways to alter your consciousness.
Yes. Correct.
Without chemicals.
Yes.
Or with chemicals, truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to alter consciousness, and there are legal loopholes that make with and without chemicals possible.
Okay.
So, but a lot of people either don't know how to do it, or they certainly don't know how to control it. You know, it's not...
Yeah, and that is something that could be borderline dangerous.
It can be
they
abused.
Don't know how to do.
It can be abused.
Yes.
It's always a recipe for sexual abuse, because when you're in an altered state,
Yes.
if you're not a trustworthy individual with the right things set up in place, even if there's no sexual abuse or anything that happens, there's still accusations because people are in an altered state and they perceive things differently.
Yes, and I will also say that pagans meeting other pagans, they think they're safe because everybody's your brother and everybody's your sister, and they're not.
That is not. That is a fact. Just because someone else is a pagan does not make them a safe person.
Yes.
Right? It does not mean that your health or your best interests are looked after just because they're your brother. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, those people. But yeah, so I want to provide that safe environment where I could take the leadership, and I don't want just random people. I want the leadership to come and go through this altered states of consciousness, chemical-free altered states of consciousness, and learn how to do these things, how to not only control these ceremonies, but how to put people through them, because this is the healing that our people had. Like, I'm not going to be able to point to you someplace in the sagas of the Icelanders where somebody did breath work and healed, but these are ancient techniques that have been around the world, and just because we didn't write them down doesn't mean that we didn't do them. Right? There's only a few like things that the humans can do, you know, to alter their own reality, right?
Yes.
And you got to just kind of imagine that every primitive culture or early indigenous culture mastered those skills to alter their reality for healing or for whatever purpose they altered it, right? And some of them chemical, some of them not. And anybody that's trying to fake it without the right training could really do harm, not only psychologically, but physically and emotionally. And you could really just mess people up by doing these things in the wrong way. So I want to teach kindred leadership after they've already expressed, you know, they've already done some level of training that shows that they're even in charge of it, that they can even do basic leadership tasks like conflict resolution. Like, if you can't do conflict resolution, you shouldn't be leading altered states of consciousness.
No,
right?
You should not.
But some of my mentors are people who run, of course, chemical retreats. And I say chemical, but really I'm talking about ethnogenic substances. I'm talking about natural substances. So some of my mentors are people who run these retreats. They've been to all the training. They've been to all the schools. They're all double doctorates. You know, they're these people. I'm working on my psychology degree now, and there's on top of that, like Leland. So Leland's a good one. So so Leland runs a breath work thing. So Leland Holgate Senior is he's the founder or the creator of the Welcome Home method of breath work. Leland was an Air Force. He was in PJ training. I don't think he actually completed the training because he got paralyzed before he completed the training. He had an accident on it was like the weekend before their Hell Week or whatever, right? Water accident, paralyzed from the neck down. It took him almost 20 years, but using almost nothing more than just breath work, breathing techniques, he had managed to regain complete use of his body. I mean, I was hanging out with him at the park in Texas. Like, we're hanging out, we're swimming. Like, he is as up and functional as anybody I've ever met, right?
And he was paralyzed.
And he was paralyzed from the neck down, unfixable. Like, the doctors are like, you'll never walk again, that kind of bullshit, right? But his mentor is Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've got 2 of his books on the shelf up there. And one of them being Becoming Supernatural, which is his most famous book. The point is that I at least have the backing of these people, and I have people that I can ask, like, because there's going to be situations I don't understand.
Yes.
Yeah. Things are going to come up, and I'm going to be like, hey, man, I was doing this breath work with this person, and they pissed themselves. Like, is that normal? Like, how do I get through this? You know, like, and they'll be like, oh, okay, that's normal. It happens like this. This is why, you know, da-da-da-da-da. Make them feel comfortable, whatever, right? So I have people that I can talk to. If Joe douchebag TikToker decides to start a breathwork course, there's no lineage, there's no knowledge, there's no double, triple doctorates to talk to ask these questions. It's like, why is this happening? The truth of the matter is, I'd like to just refer everybody, like, hey, go take Leland's course. Go take Joe Dispenza's course. Go to one of his clinics. But nobody has $10,000 to go to Joe's clinic, you know? Nobody has $500 to go take Leland's course. I took Leland's course. I'll take more of his courses, you know?
Yeah.
But I can still call him, and I can say, like, hey, brother, why don't you come up? Why don't we do some elk hunting, and you can talk to me through some of these things that I need help on. So those are all options that I have, you know? And then we got a lot of friends in the community too. Like, I was talking to Tiger Bomb yesterday, and I was like, yeah, dude, I got these plans. I'm going to do this stuff. I'm going to make all these things happen. And Tiger Bomb's like, I don't know how I can help you, but when you're ready to start raising money, I'm ready to start lifting up heavy things and putting them back down again. And I'm like, thank you, my Neanderthal brother. And he's like, well, actually, my blood, I have 3% or 4%. Like, so the point is, Tiger Bomb's a Neanderthal, and he's in our corner.
And so this kind of comes full circle back to doing GoFundMes for sending our people to things like this, or giving them access to this that they never would have.
Right, because, I mean, generally speaking, not being judgy or whatever, generally speaking, Norse pagans that I know are not in the best financial shape.
Yes.
A lot of them are struggling, you know, and we're struggling mentally because a lot of us are Gen Xers, right? We grew up with absent parents, and then you have the millennials and everybody the Zennials and everybody that came after them, and it's obviously mentally just getting harder for everybody, you know. I know as Gen Xers, like, shit sucked anyway, but we had a really good time.
We did. We did have a good time.
I don't see that in our youth now. Like, they're not having a good time. It seems like one suffer X after the next suffer X. You know, it's like one shitty situation after the next. Like, I can't imagine, like, having to go to school and watch the freaking Twin Towers every single year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had, like, the space shuttle blew up, right?
Yeah.
We had that.
But we didn't have to watch it every year.
We didn't have to watch it every.
We watched
to keep
it
reliving
once.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, we watched it.
We watched it live.
Yes.
In color, Technicolor.
Yes, but I mean, how many kids did watch 9/11 live?
Yeah.
And then they watched it year after year. After
We
year.
watched it from an airport. Woo!
From an airport bar.
But that's not the point. Well, I mean, it is kind of the point, but shit's getting harder, right? And the farther away we get from our cultural medicine, which is breath work, meditation, mount sitting, these things were historically there to help people. Like, these Vikings, they did 15 raids, maybe, you know, some of them. That's like, you know, or 5 raids or 4 raids. That's like 4 deployments. I got 4 combat tours. That shit takes its toll. I can imagine if that toll was just completely unstructured, like a Viking raid, you know, as opposed to an actual Marine Corps raid, you know. At least we have control features and medics, and, you know, like, we got different, but it's still stressful. So life right now is way harder than it ever was, I think.
It's the hardest it's ever been, I think.
I think historically, we had, I mean, you can't say, like, oh, life now, you guys just sit around playing video games. It's way harder than managing livestock and doing. It's not harder because there's so fewer distractions. Like feeding the pigs in 1000 AD was probably a welcome chore for the kids because they had nothing better to do.
Mm-hmm.
Feeding the pigs, build a shelter, repair the roof. Hell yeah, we will, because we're bored out of our minds. And then sports and games and all that kind of stuff, right? That's all they had. But nowadays, I mean, it doesn't feel any different now than it did in the early 80s, right? In the early 80s, we felt like we were the most technically advanced group in the world, but we were still stressed out over everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just more technology and more stress. And the more technology you add to it, the more stress you get. But we have cultural healing techniques. We have systems in place that our body was designed to heal itself, things that we could do to heal ourselves mentally and physically, not only just community, but actual techniques that we can incorporate into our daily life if we have a little bit of discipline to do it, right?
I
Because
agree
it
with
does
that.
take
Yes,
discipline.
yes.
And I go through long phases where I'm not journaling and I'm not meditating, and I can see the decline. And then I got to bounce off the bottom and come back up and start going into my routine. And then I'm like, I've been doing this for a while and I feel like shit still, so I'm just going to let it slack off, and then I got to bounce off the bottom and go back into my routine.
I definitely see that in you.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, so
yeah,
but I'm a living example of the fact that these things work.
Yes,
right. These things work. Not only are breath work and meditation and uttasetta and mantras and all the other things that we can do mentally to get in an altered state, drumming, singing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing like drumming. Like it's just amazing. No. I wish we'd have brought a drum to healing, but they probably wouldn't have let us bring it in. So I would have put a hole in that thing. I would have been like, clack, 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 clack.
Yeah, you probably would have. Yeah.
But so we have these medicines, right, that are non-chemical, and we have chemical medicines too. And I fear that as this whole Norse pagan thing develops and matures, that other people who don't have the connections, the PhDs, they don't have the skills, the experience, the knowledge, are just going to be like, hey, yeah, guys, Vikings took mushrooms. Let's take a handful of mushrooms in the woods. And people are going to get hurt.
Yes, that's a guarantee. People
are going to get hurt, and this whole thing is just going to be one big bad example. And I don't want to be a bad example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but anything anybody like that does doesn't have anything to do with you. It doesn't look bad on you. It's you are looking to give a safe.
I don't mean I. Well, I mean I as in the Norse pagan culture.
Yes, I know. The
modern Norse paganism.
Yeah.
Because you have people they already do really dumb shit, and it already affects us. It affects everybody. It's like, oh, hey, look, these bunch of weirdo skinheads sacrificed some girl on some train tracks, and they're going to court and they're saying it's Norse pagan human sacrifice is part of my religion. Like that happened. Like that was legit.
I know.
And while we all know that's bullshit, that those guys were just a bunch of douchebags that did a lot of bad stuff because they're bad people, and they found a convenient excuse to do it because the Vikings TV show probably, right? That's all it is.
Yeah.
We know that. But we have to fight for any kind of The society's like
society thinks we're all devil worshippers.
We're all devil worshippers sacrificing teenage girls on train tracks.
Yeah.
Because these guys made up a lie to try and get out of the punishment for the crime that they committed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that actually happened. And that's something we have to deal with. I don't want to stack on top of that people freaking out on drugs. Because if you just go take a handful of mushrooms because you want to see Odin, you're taking drugs for recreational purposes. There's no ritual in that.
Yeah, there's nothing ritualistic on that.
And if you just signed up for a Wim Hof course because you want to be able to walk barefoot on Mount Everest, you're not doing it for the cultural reasons, right? The historic reasons why those kind of things would be done. I mean, nothing wrong with Wim Hof. Like I like his.
Yeah.
That's where I started in breathwork was with Wim Hof. Right, I started there, but it's not the same thing, and a lot of people don't see that. So I don't have any problem with I'll take the hit. I'll go on Tucker. I'll sit there and talk to that fucker about mushrooms, breath work, the Norse gods, or anything else. You know what I mean? I'll go on these shows. I'll talk to these people. I'm not afraid of it. They can do their weekend research to try and get me with a stunner on their show. So they got a couple of they're not going to catch me off guard. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
So I'll play those games for sure, but it's time to take this to the next level. It's not D&D. It's not playing cosplay
It's not
anymore.
World of Warcraft.
It's not World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
It's not SCA. Love those guys. They started this whole movement, whether you believe it or not. But it's not there anymore. We're not dressing up and fighting each other with foam swords. This is real. This is a living religion, and it's time to take this shit to the next level. No more. Like, people fucking believe Mormons, okay? If they can believe fucking Mormons, we got a spot in the world religions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got really good friends that are Mormons, but it's still crazy to me.
So, going back to, a few months ago, I was really struggling myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really have, we don't have anybody we don't have any relatives, we don't have any family, we don't have anybody to really talk to. And so I turned towards self-help. I turned towards the meditation and the refocusing and the reading and intentions and stuff like that, and uttasetta and cultural medicines and stuff like that.
Fasting is another one too, because I know you fasted for a long time.
I did. I fasted for 13 days. And it started out as like the only thing I could control. It started out in the wrong sense. Honestly, it started out without me even realizing it. And it was a few days into it that I realized that this is not okay.
Yeah.
And then it turned into this is the only thing I can control in my life. And then a few days later, it's like, that's not okay either.
Right.
And then after that, I really put focusing and intention into doing it for the right reasons. And that was a huge awakening for me. That was a huge spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it was after you returned home, because most of this happened when you were gone.
Yeah.
Like this was a journey that I was dealing with on my own.
And I was on my own journey too. I was on a specific different journey.
Yeah, you were absolutely on your own journey, and your journey was so foreign to my journey. It was like, because we've always walked the same path, and all of a sudden we kind of split those paths for a moment,
mm-hmm.
and did some different spiritual journeys, which was really strange and interesting and helpful.
Right. Yeah.
There was a lot of growth there. But so I went through all of this, and then I remember when you got home from your journey, and then you put me through your breath work, like you put me through a breath work session.
The session that I led, yeah.
Yeah, you led it, and it was absolutely amazing, and there was such a release of emotion and pain and fear and all this stuff. So,
and that's why I don't want to.
No. Go for it.
But that's definitely why all of the medicines are important. The fasting is important.
Yes.
The drumming is important. The meditation is important. Breath work is important. Cultural, our sacrament is important.
Yeah.
They're all important in different ways, right?
Yes.
Because I took. When I was on my journey, I was out of state, it's legal, it's already authorized by Congress. Everything was good. Everything was perfectly legal. Mm-hmm. But I took a absolute massive dose of psilocybin mushrooms, and that put me in a whole different place. And then we had counseling, breath work, therapies, and all that kind of stuff. And the breath work was a place to kind of make everything fit. Because I was me personally was in a different place than I was the day prior. Mm-hmm. I was a certain person with some goals and some hopes and intentions. And then I went into this psilocybin journey that was absolutely facilitated by people who know what they're doing.
Yes.
Right. Professionals.
And that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And then I transitioned into the next phase of me, and I didn't know how to put that into place. And breath work with Leland there, like, a voice, not like a tape recording. Leland was there guiding us through it, Mm-hmm. You start getting a little excited, he puts his hand on your knee or whatever. So like, okay, I'm still in this plane or whatever. So because it does get intense. breath work helped me put all that in place. So all these different tools are here for a reason. You're not using pliers for screwdrivers, right? You got a screwdriver and a plier and a, Phillips and a flathead. Like, you got all the different tools that you need when you have the full package. And I'm afraid that everybody gets focused on one tool and that's it. And when you're a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, right? When your only tool you have is medication, you're not fixing anything, you're numbing it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Or escaping
absolutely.
from it. But these tools can be used in a right way. You can use psilocybin. You can use dimethyltryptamine or 5-MeO-DMT. You can use these tools in the right way, which, by the way, was the end of our journey, was a 5-MeO-DMT, and then more counseling, more breath work, and then the sayonara, and then about 6 weeks of integration after that, of real integration. So the idea is that all of these tools are important, but they're different tools to do different things, and then knowing them all brings the whole thing together. Without it, it's just abuse.
Yeah.
Right? Or recreation. It can be recreational. You can recreationally use substances, but you're not going to get any healing from it. Right?
Yes, but I mean, you have to think about, our kids, like the generation of children out there, and our veterans. Like, pills are just pushed on them. All these pharmaceutical poisons are pushed on them when we have our cultural medicines right there. They just don't know how to use them.
They don't know how to use them, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they require intention. They require planning.
Yes, and then you take all these little tiny things, you take your meditation, and you take your refocusing, and you take your breath work, and you take all those things, and separately they're nothing. But when you combine them, they're everything.
Yeah. And then the discipline to maintain, too.
Yes, you have to have that, too.
Yeah. Because the problem is, a lot of times, as with anything, and I suppose with other drugs that I've not taken, like hard drugs and stuff, is that there's a certain, at the beginning, there's a certain, like, wow, that's cool, right? And then the next time it's like, oh, I didn't quite get there. Oh, not quite there anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Still not there.
So, whoop, can't get there again. Let me just take more. Oh, nope, can't get back there.
Yeah.
There's a really cool video, like a cartoon I seen of like this little squirmy dude.
I seen that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's a really
And
graphic way to see it.
They kind of, it's almost like one of those, like, kiwi birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of trip over themselves.
And it's just like sucking a little drop of water.
Yeah, and at the end, they're just this
wreck. Yeah,
unrecognizable.
Yeah, so I think, like with anything, the real key to knowing how to use all of these medicines, chemical or otherwise, is knowing how to use them in moderation. I wouldn't sit here and be a breath junkie either. Although I know that Leland calls himself a breathing crackhead. So breath work is like his drug of choice. But he's an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically cured himself from quadriplegia,
Yeah.
So
well, I do
he
want
can do whatever the hell he wants.
I do want to kind of like circle back to the beginning of this podcast when we talked about your birthday.
Yes.
And going into the float spa. You were breathing in there. You were doing breath work.
I was, yeah. Sometimes, so I have this habit now because I've done a lot of breath work. I have this habit now when I get into a space where either there's a little anxiety or at least I'm just alone. If I have this, I wasn't actually alone. You
I
were
know
next
you
to
weren't,
me.
but we felt a million miles away until we
our foot brushed against each other.
Brushed.
Yeah. But I do sometimes when I need it, I can just go into just do a breathwork session. I'll do some recordings eventually. So I'll do some recordings for you guys eventually, and I'll do like rescue breathing, which is very, very important, especially if you're a veteran and you have PTSD or anything like that. There's breathing exercises that you can do in a very short amount of time to just get control, because sometimes it's like a wave of. It's hard to really explain to anybody that doesn't have any kind of PTSD. And I understand that PTSD isn't just for veterans. It's a anything traumatic, right? You might not even remember the traumatic incident and still have PTSD over it, right?
Correct.
So I'm not one of those PTSD bigots who says, if you weren't in the military, you don't have it. That's bullshit.
Right.
Right. Trauma's trauma. And we all have traumas. And some of them are more intense than others, and some of them have a bigger effect. But when you have a PTSD moment or an incident, it doesn't just like slowly become that. You don't have time to escape the scenario, right? It just happens. It's almost like a car accident. You're just cruising down the road, everything's good, then boom, and it's like, what the fuck? Right? It's like that.
Yeah.
It's you don't get the opportunity to change the circumstance and avoid the confrontation. You're fucking in it. You just got hit by a semi truck, right? Your fucking kids are dead, like blood everywhere, the glass is broken, your fucking ears are screaming. That's where you're at. That's a PTSD incident. You don't walk into it like a mall and you're like, nope, don't want this, and walk back out. You got hit by a fucking truck, right? And now you have to deal with it. And there are breathing exercises that can help you, like, get control of yourself, bring it back to center, make a good decision, and get the fuck out of there, right? There's tools for that. And they're not being taught. They're just throwing fucking drugs at the problem.
Yeah.
Right? So I got a little excited on that. Sorry about that. But that's it. Like, that's not something people are talking about. They're like, oh, PTSD, why don't you just remove yourself from the situation? Because fuck you, that's why, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. I'm not actually that excited.
No, I know you're not. I know you're not.
But you've seen me do it.
No, I have seen you do it, and
it doesn't have to be a car accident. Like, I made it out like it's a big event because it feels like a big event, but it can be that fucking stupid bitch running her cart into yours at Walmart because she's not paying attention. It can be that. And whatever it is, for some reason, that's what pulls your string, right?
Yeah. Well, I will remark on the fact that, this last week of work has been a struggle for me. Like, there's been some shit going on in the background that affected my, what is it, OODA loop?
OODA loop.
OODA loop.
Yeah, OODA loop.
Yeah.
Observe, orient, decide, act. That's the OODA, and it's a loop. So it's observe, orient, decide, act. Observe, orient, decide, act. That's your OODA loop.
Okay. Well, that shit was, messing up my OODA loop. And what I did was I actually listened to this podcast, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get the name right, but it was like Let It Settle, or Letting It Settle.
Okay.
And that was the only thing because I didn't have that rescue breathing technique, you and I haven't had enough time to really do much on that. But I was just listening to that podcast, and I think his name's Michael, and he would go into the, just talking about centering yourself and bringing you. And then at the end, he would take you into this meditation and this breath work, and that's what got me through the week.
Right. And it has to be a learned response. You can't just be like, hey, this is all you do. You just breathe like this, and then you're good.
Yeah.
You have to want to do it, for one. And one of the hardest things about having like a PTSD episode is that you don't want to get out of it. I know that sounds really strange to people, but
well, I see it in you. Sometimes
it's like,
when you
I'm fucking
have your
spun up. God damn it. I fucking deserve to be mad, and just leave me the fuck alone and let me be mad.
Yes, I know. I've been there with you.
Yeah. It's like, this is bullshit. They're fucking stupid. I'm
and
right.
I'm like, fuck yeah, babes. I'm here when you're done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here when you're done.
And that's kind of the thing with, like, sometimes, well, you remember, like, do you remember when we were in high school and that Domino's pizza guy smashed into your car?
Oh, yes, I definitely remember that.
And it pinned my door closed and I couldn't get out. And I had to, like, crawl over you.
Yes.
So sometimes when you have those incidents, I am crawling I'll find the smallest exit to get out so I can murder this guy, right?
Yes.
And the other times you have to decide that murdering that guy is not the right decision, and you have to you have to have something.
Yeah.
But if you don't have any tools, all you have is rage.
Yeah.
Right? You either have all you have is rage or you have fear. So you have your fight or your flight, right? That's all you have if you don't have any tools to navigate that. So my job, or my hope, is to be able to put all this stuff together, blow this channel up so I can get some resources in order to do this, and then I can put together the program that can help people have the resources. Yes. And I don't care if you're a veteran, I know that there's a lot of transgender kids or gay kids,
yes,
or just kids with a single mom raising them. Like there's so many people who were brought up in an environment that's not natural to the human condition. Like this nuclear family idea with the community. It takes a village, right, to raise a child.
Right.
Well, most of these children don't have a village. They don't even have one functional parent.
Right.
Right. So what the hell do you think's going to come out of that?
Yeah.
But now there are contemporaries, there are peers, there are fellow Norse pagans. Why don't we want to help these people? You know, I can help these people. I just don't have the resources to do it right now.
Yeah.
I can help. I can
yet.
help them.
We're getting there.
Yeah. So that's the goal. I know we're running really long on this podcast, so we should probably wrap it up because I'm starting to get a little emotional over it. But
that's okay to be emotional.
it is. But definitely, there's a goal at the end of this. And the idea isn't about paying my mortgage. Like, that's paid. That's already taken care of.
Yeah, that's.
I don't have to do anything to meet any needs in my life other than wake up.
Yeah.
You know? If I died in my sleep, the VA might get a little bit of a raspberry over that one.
Yeah, don't do that.
You're still good. We're past that like threshold, so you're still good. But beside that, I don't need to get rich. I got a pretty good life without any money, but I really need resources to push this into the future.
Yeah.
You know, to create this whole new Norse pagan landscape that's not about fucking racism, those goddamn douchebags. So done with that. Mm-hmm. It's not about you against me. It's not about class warfare. It's not about liberal Democrats versus fucking conservatives and Republicans. It's not about any of that shit. Norse pagans, true Norse pagans, and I'm not talking about gamers and shit. Some of them are gamers, but if it's just the game, then that's bullshit. But true Norse pagans, people who actually look to the Norse gods as their creators, which is absolutely true, they're our brothers and sisters. Or at bare minimum, they're our cousins, right?
Yeah.
And we can help them. We just don't have the resources.
We just need a little help ourselves.
Yeah. So you get us there, we'll get you there. It's titty for a daddy, tit for a tat. I don't know. It's not a quid pro quo, but it's like, I want to go so fast and so hard, but I just don't have the resources.
Yeah. Well, I think at the end of the day, if you're looking for something to invest in to help our community, give us a shot. Because
we've proven that we'll do as much as we can do on a shoestring budget. Yeah. Right? We've proven that much. We've proven that we can do as much as we can do. But what we're trying to do now is we're trying to take this shit to the next level. We're trying to take Norse paganism out of the comic book realm where people are like, oh, Odin and Thor, huh? Ho, ho, ho. Do you worship Marvel? You know, it's like, fuck you. Fuck your parents. Fuck your church. It's hard sometimes. It's like, but they're like, oh, God bless you. I'm like, oh, thank you. You know, I'm not a Christian, but oh, what do you believe in? Not Christianity, you know. So, I believe, you know, I believe in the pre-Christian gods of the northern
Odin, Thor.
Yeah, Odin, Freya. Thor, Freya. That's usually what I say. I say, you know, Odin, Thor, Freya. Oh, like the Marvel characters. Listen, motherfucker, I will eat your fucking heart.
And then they start feeling.
And they're like, yee. No, I actually don't take it that far, but I feel it. That's what I feel like.
Yeah,
you know?
It's frustrating. It's frustrating because
nobody takes it seriously.
To them, our religion doesn't matter. Our faith.
To them, our religion is a fucking comic book.
Yes,
and
a movie.
Yeah. So I say, let's get our 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
Let's build our virtual church initially.
Yeah.
Let's get some people trained on how to fight these fights. Let's teach our people how to heal themselves. So we don't need medications. We don't need doctors. We don't need your fucking church. We don't need your bullshit priests, right?
Right.
We need each other as a community. One big global, not just America, although, you know, America. Not just America, though. Like, let's one big global community of Norse pagans who are falling back on our cultural ancestral ways, you know, and let's build something worth being a part of, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but we also have to teach. We have to teach our people that our people are okay. Like, you don't have to fight us.
Yeah. That's a thing too. We're safe to be around.
Heathens hating heathens. And it's not okay. It should be heathens helping heathens.
Well, that's a fact.
Yeah.
But we also get the brosatrues that are doing more damage than good. because they're like, oh, fuck your church, we'll raid it. And it's like, no, you won't, because that's illegal and we don't live in the 11th century.
Well, I think in a sense that they're just trying to fit in, but they just don't know how, and so they do it in such a bravado.
I think you have more compassion than I do for that.
I absolutely do. And so, yeah, maybe you should just squash my compassion.
No, maybe not. We work well together.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's a lot of people that should not talk.
Yeah,
they should just not talk. That's the best thing I can say. It's like, it's okay to be ignorant. It's not okay to show it at every opportunity.
Yeah,
that's really the hard part, because it doesn't help anybody. You can be bravado and you can be like, oh, I'll raid a church. Nobody believes.
But you won't.
You won't. Nobody believes you're going to do it. Nobody thinks you're going to put on your fur, your faux fur, and your rubber sword and go raid the Baptist church on the corner.
No.
Why don't you go meet those people? Because you'll probably find out that a lot of them are really good people, and they're not judgmental.
Yeah,
some of them are. Some of them old biddies are judgmental. You just got to deal with those people how you deal with them.
And some of those people that you meet could really use like a bravado big brother behind them.
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people out there that could use somebody to stand up behind them and be like, you.
Yeah. I
crush you.
Yeah, crush. I think the idea probably is we should probably look more into building communities, even if everybody in that community isn't a Norse pagan.
Yes.
Because we have a community. Northwoods Kindred is a community.
It is.
Right? And I won't say who, but we have Kindred members whose other people in their household are Christians, are Wiccas. They're not part of our kindred, but they're absolutely valuable in their own Wicca community. But those are people we know, right?
Yes.
And yeah, Christians and other kind of things. We have very dear friends. I have friends that are Mormons or Catholics that are welcome at even if I'm not home. They know where the fucking key is hidden. You know, like they're welcome here no matter what, hands down. They are good people. They are loving people. They are good friends. They are trustworthy, right? They don't have to be Norse pagans to be loved and trusted by us. Why? Because, large part, because we're military and we've served with a lot of these people.
Yeah.
And we don't judge people based on, for one, factors they can't control, like race, color, you know, and we don't judge people on their decisions. We only judge people on our interaction with them. You know, there are people online that have called us every name in the book. We judge those people very severely on their interaction with us.
Yes.
Not on who they are. They try to make it about who they are. Oh, well, you don't like me because I'm XYZ. I don't even want to say it. You don't like me because I'm XY. No, I don't like you because you're a fucking bitch. That's why I don't like you. I don't like you because you don't know how to shut your fucking mouth when you don't know what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
It has nothing to do with your XYZ.
No.
Nothing at all. It has to do with your fucking mouth. Keep your teeth together, you know? So.
And I've known you almost my whole life, and that is totally you. Like,
yeah.
I don't give a fuck about this.
Yeah.
Shut it.
Yeah. Just.
You suck.
Yeah.
You're a bitch.
Yeah. So. That's it. Like, hey, show your work, motherfucker. I do.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If I'm XYZ, show your work.
Yeah.
Show me where I did this thing or that thing. So anyway, we're
so
cryptically deep in the weeds. So
cut it out.
What?
Cut it out.
I don't know what you're saying, and it's probably gonna stay in.
Man, that figures. All right, we're probably running a little long here. It looks like we're over 2 hours.
So you're telling me we just did 2 podcasts?
Yeah, possibly. You might have to chop them in half.
Okay.
Or the truth is, we kind of worked the bugs out. We might just delete all this shit and do another podcast tomorrow.
Why would we do that?
And streamline it.
I think they would love this podcast.
It's been a fun one. You want to wrap this up?
Fuck yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right. Hey, man, I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I know this is part 2 from the last one. I hope that you had an opportunity to catch them both. If you didn't, go back and listen to the previous one because they all kind of work together, and it's pretty amazing for us to sit down and just really get all this stuff off of our chest. I hope that you can support us. Absolutely subscribe. Stick around. Keep an eye on us, at least at a distance, because we're going to be doing great things, and you're going to be a big part of that if you want to play. If you don't, hey, we'll still be here. We'll be here for you when you get around to joining us. Yeah?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Stig and Sammy in Norway, have fun. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anybody I wouldn't do.
Don't do anybody I wouldn't do either.
Whoa. Bridge too far.
Whoa.
Bridge too far.
I think if I would do them, you would do them, right?
Probably.
Caw.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Þórr viki.
Þórr viki. Back away from the microphone. Back away.